Hello, it's Taylor Glass from GITA, and I'm here today with one of my fellow directors, Ash, and I wanted to ask him a little bit about his background and why he became a director of GITA. Ash, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm sort of quite new into glamping, so I started with Featherdown Farm Stays, coming up on 2 years ago. So I'm quite new in. Previously, my background was IT and telecoms, so quite a varied background, and also been involved in quite a few med tech companies. So yeah, it was quite a varied background, and then sort of came into this as a completely different challenge. It's sort of slightly similar to what another business that I had, which is an equestrian business. So there's sort of some crossover and some similarity, but it was the challenge that was being faced sort of within the company at the time and what they were looking for. So that's what sort of drew me into it. So it wasn't that I suddenly had a calling for the glamping industry.
I understand.
It was just circumstance really, and it's been absolutely fascinating just to sort of see and learn more about an industry that sort of just ticks along at the side, but is actually so valuable and offers so much to all the guests that stay at the different sites. You know, particularly sort of the GITA members chatting to, the people and the different sites that they have. It's fascinating, and just the feedback that they get from guests.
So for people that are watching this that are non-members, what would you say to them is kind of like the main purpose of GITA? What is it that we're really trying to achieve?
So I think it's multiple fronts for what GITA's sort of trying to do. So it is trying to represent an industry that is essential for the UK economy, but doesn't have any representation specifically for us. There's other organisations that we kind of sit alongside and we could be quite similar to, but actually, the problems that we have and the challenges that we have as specifically as glamping are completely different to what you would have as a caravan park. So that's the difference. And to give you an example, a very good example is things around gas regulations for water heaters. If somebody has that, so there are no regulations for the glamping industry.
Yeah.
And as a result, we sort of sit between the cracks of different things,
Yep.
and that's why it's one of the things that GITA will be looking to proactively speak to gas safety about, and BSI and everyone else to do this.
We basically want to formalise glamping as its own industry and its own category, because as you said perfectly, right now we're kind of in this middle ground between campsites and hotels and resorts and holiday parks and everything. We want to basically solidify glamping as its own category. And how do you think that we can do that over the next 2 to 3 years?
I think with more members coming on board, and as more members come on board, we start to get the feedback for what's really important to them. And I think that's where we are at the moment. It sort of started off, and again, Taylor, you and I came on as directors at the same time.
Yeah.
Which was exactly a year after it started. So GITA had started, and probably the same as yourself. It was actually this is really valuable. And this is a time to start influencing government policy, be it on planning or anything else. We can, as a group and as an organisation and a trade association, actually do everything that's relevant to us. So, as I say, either the gas safety side of things, or planning regulations, and trying to make sense of it. And if you're sort of coming into an industry like this, you think to yourself, well, where do I get this information? And you sort of look at different places, but actually GITA has it.
Yep.
And that's what we've done is we spent so much time putting all the information together, and it's all there for the members. And the webinars are absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
The sort of knowledge base that we're getting. This is stuff that's far beyond what is a small association at the moment.
Yep.
But the people that we're having coming in to talk and sort of represent are absolutely incredible. You couldn't think of better people.
We definitely go above and beyond in all of the things.
Well above our weight.
I think we are. I think we are. So it's also very beneficial for not just site owners, but also suppliers as well, because we can kind of set some standards as to what qualifies a site and what also qualifies suppliers, because we have to have some level of quality assurance, and I think that's kind of one thing that GITA stands for.
Definitely. And as you know, we've got several board members who are really sort of pushing that and making sure that we get some standards in place. And as I say, it is a great way for suppliers to come and showcase their stuff. come back to, if you're setting up, and even for us as further down, it's you're still trying to find people in different places, and it's a great opportunity and a great way for suppliers to sort of get involved and actually showcase themselves, which we have done with as with the webinars.
And what's your thoughts on our first ever summit? How do you think the turnout for this summit's been, and what's your thoughts on what this actually means for us as a trade association?
Again, do you know what? I think this has perfectly summed up exactly what GITA is all about. We've had phenomenal speakers. I mean, just people with so much knowledge of different industries, but specifically on glamping. And again, it's years and years worth of knowledge just being given freely in a really friendly environment. It's been great fun just wandering around chatting to the members, the other directors and suppliers, and it's been fantastic. It's just been a really lovely atmosphere and a lovely day. So
awesome. Thank you very much, Ash. That's been great.
Cheers,
Thank you.
Taylor. Lovely.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.